Good morning, dear students. In the last video and even in our Zoom class, we have discussed about evaporation and factors affecting evaporation. There are the four factors which affects evaporation: surface area, temperature, wind, and humidity. Now here we will see some examples which gives us the cooling effect, and that because of the evaporation. Liquid needs latent heat for vaporization. That means for evaporation. Latent, we know hidden heat. So liquid, when they want to evaporate, their vaporization is possible when they get some hidden heat, hidden energy. So liquid needs latent heat for evaporation. It takes this heat from things in its surrounding. From where this latent heat is possible? So liquid evaporates. When it evaporation takes place, when it that means liquid. When liquid takes heat from the surroundings. It means things in our surrounding lose heat, and thus they give the experience of coolness. The best example, sweating. Sweating, perspiration. जब आपको पसीना आता है. When we sweat, that means when we perspire, हमें जब पसीना आता है, तो what happens? There exists a water. So water, one form of sweat. It evaporates, taking latent heat from our body. That means sweat. So whenever we perspire, the sweat in the form of water on our body surface starts evaporating. How it will start evaporating? By the hidden heat of our body in the form of heat. Latent heat of our body, that is hidden heat of our body, helps this perspiration, sweat, to evaporate. And as soon as it evaporates, we feel cool. So, when we perspire a lot and then we sit below the fan, we feel a very coolness. Why? Because when we sit below the fan, the wind will increase. With the increase in the wind, evaporation increase. We know that, as we have discussed in factors affecting evaporation. And so, because of the hidden heat of our body, the perspiration starts evaporating as soon as it starts even getting wind, and we feel cool, right? Then another example. When we come out of swimming pool, water on our body surface evaporates. When we come out of the swimming pool, in the swimming pool we were in the water. So water is always there on our body when we come out from the swimming pool. So that body water which is on the surface, it will start evaporating. Why? Because it takes up the latent heat from our body, and that latent heat will make the liquid on our body surface little hot, and it will evaporate. So we feel cool. Spirit or acetone, right? Spirit, you know, when you go to the doctor's clinic, if you have hurt something or if you are going to get injection, doctor apply the spirit on your skin. You feel little cool there. Why it happens? Because spirit has a tendency to evaporate very fast. Whenever the spirit is kept on our skin surface, because of the latent heat of our body, the spirit evaporates very quickly and we feel cooling sensation, right? So why we feel cooling sensation? It is all because of the evaporation, and that evaporation is because of the latent heat on our body, in our surroundings, which helps the surface liquid to evaporate fast. Earthen pot. As I explained in the Zoom class, that earthen pot has small pores, right? And that small pores helps the entry and exit of the air from the atmosphere in the water and from water to the atmosphere. The earthen pot has minute pores through which water sips out and droplets of water deposit on outer surface of pot. When this water evaporates, it takes latent heat from the pot and the surrounding, and water inside also it evaporates from the surface. So the very inside water cools down and we fill the cold drinking water. Same as tea in a saucer, which example given in the surface area factor I have given. When tea is kept in a saucer, evaporation faster because of the more surface area. Tea cools faster and makes easier to drink. We do wear cotton clothes in summer. One another example. Why we wear cotton clothes in summer? Because it helps us to remain cool. But how it helps us to remain cool? Cotton has a tendency to absorb water, and thus when we sweat a lot in summer में पसीना तो ज़्यादा होता है. So when we sweat a lot in water, it is absorbed very fast in the cotton clothes. And thus when sweat comes outside the clothes in contact with atmosphere, then it evaporates fast and gives us cooling sensation. So this is why it is advised to wear cotton clothes in summer. कॉटन क्लोथ्स पानी को ज़्यादा से एब्जॉर्ब कर लेता है. अब जब हमारा स्वेट जो पानी के फॉर्म में होता है वो कॉटन क्लोथ्स में एब्जॉर्ब हो जाता है, और जैसे ही एवापोरेशन एटमॉस्फेयर के कांटेक्ट में आता है अपना क्लोथ सरफेस, it starts evaporating because of the latent heat present in it, and evaporation gives the cooling sensation. क्योंकि जो हवा गर्म हो जाती है लेटेंट हीट के कारण, वो whatever the perspiration sweat is there उसको भी evaporate करके साथ ले जाती है, and it gives us cooling sensation. Cooler also works on the concept of evaporation. When humidity is very high, evaporation is very low, or we can say very slow. That means when the proportion of water is high in atmosphere, then the evaporation is very, very slow, and the effect of cooler or the effect of cooling will remain very slow, or we can say ineffective. Because atmosphere itself has water proportion, so it will not absorb more from the surface of the hot liquid or from the surface of the hot material. But in the areas where there is very low humidity, evaporation is very fast, and so its cooler is effective in such area. One more thing I want to say. In summer season, people used to sprinkle water in the front of their house, in their front courtyard, or even the terrace during evening time. Why? Because throughout the day, the terrace is getting very, very hot, and even the front courtyard of the house also gets very hot because of the scorching heat of the sun. So, when you sprinkle water on the terrace or on the front courtyard, the surface having latent heat in it easily is absorbed by the water which we sprinkle, and that water gets warm because of that latent heat of the surface of the courtyard or the surface of the terrace, and they become warm, they become little hot and start evaporating. So the area becomes cool and we feel coolness because of sprinkling of the water. So these were the few examples which helps us to remain cool because of the evaporation. You can even cite out, or you can even find out many other examples and can jot down in your notebook. Now, we have already studied 3 states of matter: solid, liquid and gas. But scientists have even found out 2 more states of matter, that is Bose-Einstein condensed state and plasma. You will study about these both states of matter in higher classes 11th and 12th. Here we will have just a glance. What is Bose-Einstein condensed state? Actually, Bose is given in the remembrance of Indian scientist Satyendranath Bose, and Einstein we know Albert Einstein. So, Indian scientist Satyendranath Bose in 1920 had some calculations based on which Albert Einstein also predicted one new matter, that is Bose-Einstein condensate. In 2001, Cornell, Kateri and women of USA received Nobel Prize for actually making this state in laboratory. Bose-Einstein constant. It is a state of matter when a gas is cooled at very low temperature. We can say super low temperature. Mostly, this Bose-Einstein condensate is a matter when gas is in a cooled state and which is observed above the atmosphere level, because atmosphere is always in the effect of the sun, and when the sun rays is there, we can't say the temperature is very low. So Bose-Einstein constant or condensate is a state of matter in which gas is considered as the component, and that gas component which is acquiring a stage of very cool gas. Very cool, that means super low temperature. A gas which is cooled at super low temperature, even which we can say below the temperature, that is when ice is even formed. 0 to -4 degrees Celsius is the temperature where ice starts formation, freezing of water takes place, and this is not about liquid, it is about cooling of gas at very low temperature, right? Need not worry much more about it. This is just for your glance, just for your knowledge. You will learn more in higher classes. Let us see about the plasma. Plasma is also a state of gas, but here it is an ionized gas. Plasma is a state of matter. It is about ionized gas. And ionized gas, it means a charged gas when it received electrical energy. That means it is a good conductor of electricity, and even it is affected by magnetic field. Now, what is charged gas? You know about the neon lamps, neon bulb, fluorescent tube light which we use, right? So this neon is a gas which is filled in the neon lamps, neon bulbs. Fluorescent tube, it is the tube in which helium gas is filled up. So when plasma is a state of this gas, when it is in the ionized form and it is at very high temperature, plasma starts glowing. Glowing, it means it starts shining in different colors as per the material of the gas which is used. If neon gas is used, it will be yellowish color in shine. If helium gas is used, it is in white color shining, right? So plasma is a ionized gas which have an indefinite shape and indefinite volume. Neon gas in the lamp and helium gas in fluorescent tube in their ionized form. Neon gas and helium gas, see, they are gaseous form, but when they are receiving electrical energy at very high temperature, then these gas starts converting into ionization That means starts getting separating into their respective components and gives a colorful glow, colorful sign. That state of gas at the high electric conductancy is ionized gas, which is termed as the plasma. So, plasma and Bose-Einstein constant are considered as two more states of matter in our basic states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gases. Right? With this, all the topics of our chapter are discussed completely, and you go through the topics as well as once go through the textbook also and read it properly. If you find any doubts, if you find any query, do contact me. Thank you.